Hello, you know who it is, you know where you are, and it's time to do some economics. All right, I'm your economics teacher now, not your civics teacher right now for the next few weeks. All right, we're going to do a little intro to economics, vocab slash kind of basic concepts here. This is a really important topic, probably the most important topic of economics, because everything that we learn about in this unit kind of comes from these ideas, and we'll kind of keep going back to these words throughout the unit. You should have this handout in front of you, number 3. All right, you should turn to this page right here where it says basic economic concepts at the top. It's got 1 through 4 on this side. It's got 5 through 9 on that side. That's where we're going to take your notes. All right, so here we go. So the first thing it says at the top there in your notes is economics is the science of decision making. History is the result of people's choices. I kind of like that. When you think of economics, it's all about making decisions based on what you have and what you can use and can't use, going from there. All right, so I like that. So how does economics work? You'll see there's 4 lines on the right side of your Cornell notes. You need to fit these 3 pieces of information from the 3 slides there. And remember, you can pause the video at any time. So people make choices about how to use limited resources. All the resources in the world are limited. Nothing is really unlimited that you can use as much as you need it to, okay? All right. It's also how we continue. Decide the ownership of resources. So who owns it? Do the people own it? Do businesses own it? Does the government own it? Who owns these resources? And then we structure markets for the distributions of goods and services. And markets is one of your vocab words, anywhere where buyers and sellers interact. Goods and services, of course, goods are physical things that you can buy and use, and services are things provided for you. And how these things interact and what choices are made by people and what resources are available. These are all the things that kind of define economics. All right, so what you're going to do is you're going to write the key term on the left side of the Cornell notes. There's a blank there. And then you're going to write the information for the definition or description or examples on the right side of the Cornell notes. All right, so first one, number 1, what is scarcity? All right, so number 1 is scarcity. And scarcity is, it's also one of your vocab terms, but it's the basic economic concept. It's the most basic. You cannot satisfy all of your wants at the same time. Okay? All resources and goods are limited. You can only buy as much as you can afford or as much as are available. So as a result, you have to make a choice. And you have to give things up that you couldn't afford or couldn't get at that time. Okay? So that's scarcity. Basically, everything's limited. All right? You have to make choices. There's certain things that can be, provided for you, certain things that maybe can't. And when we get later into global economy, that's why we try to obtain resources from other countries and sell them what we have excess of. All right, number 2 is going to be resources. What are resources? And on that line to the right of number 2, you are going to write this. They are the factors of production of goods and services. Okay? So when you see the word resources and factors of production, they're kind of synonymous. Okay? So we're going to use these resources, we're going to use these factors of production to provide goods and services. Your 4 types of resources are human, natural, capital, and entrepreneurship. Natural resources are things that are provided by nature. You got like fish, and you have lumber and coal and things like that. Human resources, people giving their time, their energy, their skills. Capital resources are money and machines, things like that, all right? Entrepreneurship is the idea of having a new business. It's entrepreneurship. All right, so those are your 4 types of resources. Let's go down to number 3. Choice is number 3. What is choice? This or that is what you think of when you think of choice. The one you choose is your choice. The one you give up is not your choice, right? It's going to be something else. All right, so choice is selecting from a list of possible alternatives. So you have a bunch of options. You're at the grocery store. You got a bunch of different kinds of mustard you can buy. Are you going to choose the store brand? Are you going to choose the spicy? Are you going to choose the Dijon? What are you going to choose, right? And you have to make choices or decisions based on what is available, because everything's limited. Okay, so is this guy going to eat the one that looks like a Christmas ornament, the one that looks like a naked ho-ho, or the one over here that's got kind of the strawberry goop on top? What's he gonna pick? I don't know. We'll see. All right, so the one you give up, and I will move this over here. Let's see if I can do that. is called the opportunity cost. All right, opportunity cost is the one that you give up. That's kind of the opposite of a choice. So when you make a choice, you choose one thing. Everything else that you didn't choose is your opportunity cost. Okay, so that's what you're going to write on those two lines there, what is given up when a choice is made. You must consider what you give up when you're making a choice. You know that if you're going to decide one day when you will go to college, you know that if you decide to stay local and go to George Mason and live at home and commute, you know, you're making that choice to save money. You're making that choice because you want to stay local, but you're giving up the opportunity to dorm, to live away from your parents, your family for a while, to kind of get that experience. So there's decisions that you have to make in everything, and there's always something you give up. All right, let's go to the next side. Number 5 is price, and price is how much money is exchanged for a good or a service. Okay, so if I say these watermelons here are $4, they are goods because they are physical objects. The price, that's how much you exchange. It's kind of what you agree to. All right, on the two lines there, this is what you need to write. The interaction of supply and demand. We're going to talk about supply and demand determines price. And there's going to be something called the equilibrium price, where the market agrees that this is the price that businesses can make money and be happy while customers will still buy things and still be happy and satisfied. Okay? Price determines who acquires the goods and services. So the more something is, the more likely someone with more money will be able to buy it, right? So if something's more expensive, you're going to have people who make more money buy those things. That's just how it goes. All right, number 6 and 7. 6 is going to be supply. 7 is going to be demand, if you want to write those two on the left side. All right, 6 supply, 7 demand. All right, so supply. I look at this from the business point of view. They're putting how much they want to sell on the shelves, right, for you, or how much they're putting on the internet. Sometimes they limit things. So supply is the amount that producers are willing to sell, or businesses, another word for producers is businesses, are willing to sell at a certain price. And really, usually what it ends up being is the higher the price, the more they're willing to sell at that price because they want to make money, right? But demand is going to kind of be the opposite of supply, all right? So 7 is demand. This is the amount of goods and services consumers or individuals are willing and able to buy at a certain price. And again, demand is the lower the price, the more people are willing to buy. So you got these lines that are intersecting, right? Supply kind of goes up from the axis up to the right. Demand kind of comes down, okay? And where they intersect, that's going to be your equilibrium price. All right, so number 8 is going to be production. And production is the combining of those resources we talked about earlier into goods and services. It's production. They're producing things. It's like a business making something, right? Producing, you think making, putting things together. Okay? There's a couple things that determine what is produced. Okay? Obviously, resources available, if they can get resources at a cheap price, and what people want, consumer preferences. If there's a demand for it, consumer preferences is demand. So if they have resources available and they can get those at a cheap price and there's demand, then they will make it. If there's no demand or resources are hard to come by, you'll have to find something else similar or from a different business or a different country to get that. Maybe we won't produce it here. All right, number 9 is consumption. Think of consuming, using, eating something, right? Taking our goods and services and using it. All right? So that's the using of goods and services. That's what consumption is. All right? And the two things that determine what is purchased or what is consumed are, again, consumer preferences, demand, and price. If something's too expensive, then less people will buy it if it doesn't meet that equilibrium price where supply and demand intersect in a market. Okay? All right, so what's important about this? One thing you really want you to get to know here about basic concepts is that understanding these things allow you to be a more informed consumer, more educated on these different concepts and why things are the way they are and why prices go up and down in certain situations and why businesses will offer incentives or deals at certain points. These are the basic concepts, and if you understand these, you will become a better consumer. Okay? You're going to do the what am I on the back. Okay? And the directions are pretty simple for that. But basically, number one has been you'll kind of do together, or you can do on your own if I'm not there. Number 2 and 3, look at there's clues there. You can kind of do those together maybe. And then number 4 and 5 you can do on your own, where you're going to create clues and provide reasons that those clues would match with those 2 words of resources and scarcity. Okay. And by the time you're done with class, between the warm-up and the what am I, we've kind of gone over all 9 concepts. All right. Thank you very much, and enjoy. If you have any questions, let me know. Bring them to me in class or in Raise.